Kerrie and me merry man. Yeah.
We voting for Kerrie, we voting BLP. We voting for Kerrie, we voting BLP. He is always there for the people in St. James Central. We voting Kerrie, sing the song. We do love Kerrie. The best man is so dependable. If you find yourself in real trouble, we voting Kerrie. We do love Kerrie.
A pleasant good evening to you, comrades and friends. How are you? I have to guard the voice this evening because, again, a little crack there in the throat, and it is getting kind of hoarse and so on. And I am told that I should apply a balm to the back of my throat, and that I should allow it to linger there for a good time, and that I should suck on something that will, yes, something with a little raw texture to it that will help bring about a healing. And the harder I suck, the better it should be. And the longer I suck upon it, the better, so as to bring about that, that required healing. So I propose to take care of the throat tonight, and as soon as I get home, I work on the remedy. But I want to tell you that bad throat or no bad throat, I had to be here to support my sister and my colleague in the Senate, Santia Bradshaw. Santia is without doubt easily one of the best candidates we have in the Barbados Labour Party, first in the polls for the first time. And she is bold, she is fearless, she is committed. There is no Wednesday that we are in there that Santia shies away from taking on, and between herself and I, to be honest with you, we run about the 12 or 13 in the Democratic Labour Party every week. And I have enjoyed working with Santia, and I am sure that you will enjoy having Santia as your parliamentary representative. God bless you all, man. But if you come so close to the platform, I ain't gonna speak too loud, but that's good, that's proper. We can work with that. Now, I want to say as well that in contrast to what Santia Bradshaw represents and brings, we have, you gotta put the old Navy jacket a little more, that offsetting me. We have an opponent. And I want you to understand the nature of the opponent. Because Santia, on one hand, is bringing you a vision for the future. Santia has been impactful and forceful and meaningful in her contribution as a young politician. And we have an opponent. First thing I want him to explain is where his constituency office is. And out by you, where part is it in an NHC unit? Well, how the government of Barbados allows these things to happen? It is not. Oh, I thought that was what they're telling me. And we have also a situation there by Valerie where he uses his close connections at Courts Barbados Limited. And the people at Valerie were propped up and made to look like mopstick people. You can't treat poor people in Barbados this way. When you come and present a package, you handing out keys. And as soon as the press, the ladies and gentlemen of the press, went back and went back to their respective media houses, y'all need to know that the keys get taken back from the people in Valerie, and the furniture get moved out and went back to courts. Huh? And I haven't heard the man who wants to represent poor people here in the Pine and Wildy area say one word of protest against how the poor people were treated down the road there in Valerie. Or is he too close to the people at courts that were part of this exercise so he can't say nothing no more? And I tell you tonight that we cannot afford that type of individual. And there's more to him than meets the eye. Ask him how much places he works in, how much banks he works, and when you're asking him, ask him why he left them. Ask him why he left them. Ask him to give a full account, a full and complete account. Huh? And I feel that when we come to this thing, we got to be serious. And the Democratic Labour Party needs to treat you better. They need to treat you better. And they have, first of all, they have to stop mamagaying people in Barbados and making them believe that they are caring and interested in the development of working class people in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not true. It is a lot of ancient and empty propaganda. And I come here tonight to expose that myth, because it is one thing we got to get right. 21st of February, we have to see the backs of the Democratic Labour Party and put the Barbados Labour Party in a position to continue this country on a developmental path. And part of this developmental path must be human development. And every time I speak in these constituencies of St. Michael, I walk in with this document, because this document explains chapter and verse of what makes them impure and improper and unfit and unsuited to be in government. I am holding in my hand a document issued by the Ministry of Social Care. Here checking the clock, because I got a lot of things to say and I have to take my time, because I tell you the voice ain't the best, and I haven't had a chance to apply the balm that needs to be applied. I ain't interested in the rest of them. I want the balm, Skipper. You don't understand this balm. You need to take that in large doses. Ministry of Social Care, Constituency Empowerment and Community Development. Community Development Department. This is the letterhead. See it there? Good. It is an agreement made on the 5th of November 2012 between the Community Development Department and a particular lady who resides not too far from here. And I am not going to call her name because she will be victimized. And if one don't do what we confidently hope and expect that y'all will do on the 21st of February, she's going to get humbug in this country, because there are some spiteful human beings in the Democratic Labour Party. But her hand was twisted behind her back, as was the hand of a few hundred others. And they were made to sign what I can walk through you here with tonight, because you don't hear from Bill Stewart coming and telling the people this. He presides over a cabinet which did wrong and worthless things to people in Barbados, and he don't speak to that. And I want you to know what it is that they were doing. It says, whereas the service provider has represented that she has skills in cleaning public facilities. B, the department is desirous of having such services provided, and the service provider has offered to provide those services to the department, subject to the terms and conditions set out below. And what are the terms and conditions? Duties include the following: cleaning of community resource centers, sweeping, mopping, cobwebbing, cleaning of windows, cleaning of toilets and toilet fixtures, submitting requests on appropriate forms for fresh cleaning materials. The service provider has agreed to provide the said services for the sum of $180 to be paid twice a month. That means that you're working for $90 a week in a community resource center. People who previously were employed by, let me go through this carefully. We're talking about a maid, a janitor, somebody at the lowest rung of the ladder, the most vulnerable of the vulnerable in working class Barbados, coming out of a district. I don't want to say which part she lives, because they must not know who she is. They would humbug her. Coming out of a district much like this, hand tied behind her back and twisted, she is now being asked to submit herself to being paid $90 a week. And it gets worse. Exclusive of all taxes and national insurance. So on top of that, there she got to pay her NIS and taxes too. And it goes on and it says, for the avoidance of doubt, this agreement constitutes the entire agreement between the service provider and the department, and it supersedes all other preceding agreements, statements, warranties, representations made between the parties or either of them. For the further avoidance of doubt, both parties confirm the service provider enters into this agreement as an independent service provider. She is not, nor shall be hereafter, for any purpose whatsoever, be regarded as an employee of the government department. Now, you ain't hear this on CBC News. DLP TV then sit down and put this on there at 7 o'clock the night. Headline that working class people, janitors, employed by government and previously working for $250 when a week come are now being asked to sign contracts that they will work for $90 a week. You ain't hear that? We are 2 weeks into a campaign and the Democratic Labour Party has not told you, Patrick Tannis has not come down here and come clean that he run to join the Democratic Labour Party. He's enthusiastic because they're paying maids $90 a week in Barbados. He ain't come and tell you. He ain't come and tell you that this is happening to poor people, even as the wages in this country for the rest of the people in the government service have been frozen since 2009. Not a fella working in government tonight can tell you that he has seen a wage increase since 2009. But your cost of living went up. Your light gone up. Your water bill has gone up. The food in the supermarket has skyrocketed. The inflation, if you want to call it that, 33% higher. The cost of everything in Barbados, 33% higher than what it was in 2008. And the cure, according to Chris Sinclair and Fumble Short, is to take the poorest of the poor and to exploit them and to oppress them, to repress and suppress small, vulnerable people, to pay them now $90 a week, to take them backwards in time. That's what this Democratic Labour Party is doing. And it is here in black and white. And you know what makes me sick to my stomach? That in all of this here that's happening, you haven't heard word one from the workers' union in Barbados. Where is Walter Maloney? Big champion of labor. Where is he tonight? Why you don't hear anything from the rest of the unions? But this contract has been foisted on poor people. And this, if you want it to be stripped naked of all the legal language, you have taken a maid who previously was in the employ of the government in a statutory corporation, and you say to her, no longer are you employed, that's the language they use, no longer for any purposes will she be treated as an employee of the Department of Government. She is an independent service provider. She has been privatized. Made services in Barbados by this government that said that they will never have nothing to do with privatization. But we have exposed them time after time, lie after nasty, unbearable lie. The legacy of Christopher Peter Sinclair, a.k.a. Spider-Man. But that's what he used to call him. He get big and wopsy now, but when he was young, he was agile. Ask the people in Deacons how much trees he could climb up to peep and throw a window. Used to call him Spider-Man. And you have to understand that this is where the Democratic Labour Party is going. And understand, please, that we are now about to enter the third week of the campaign. And the man who leads this nation has not told any of you, nor any of these people here at the press table, that he and his government have given commitments to Moody's and Standard & Poor's and the IMF and the World Bank and those people that they're going to cut Barbados government public expenditure even more. That they want to cut from the 1st of April this year, $150 million of Barbados public expenditure. Now, if that is the commitment that you have given, and I challenge any of them to dispute that that is the commitment, because it is there in what they call a medium-term fiscal strategy. Now, every night they're cursing me and cursing the rest of the Barbados Labour Party, saying the nastiest and most scurrilous things. That don't humbug me. I mean, as recently as last night, I am made to understand that Irene Sandiford-Garner, of all people, says if she was my wife, she would have put poison in my tea. But I said to her, if you were my wife, Irene, I would drink the tea with the poison in it. Curse me as much as you like. The reality is The reality is that when that done and the entertainment for the night is over, you go back into a house and face 2 and 3 little children that you don't know how you're going to feed tomorrow morning. Not true? You go back into a house and you face 2 and 3 little children that you don't know how you're going to send to school tomorrow morning. And we have to find the solutions. And you have a government that is making commitments in the dark. And in the middle of an election campaign, no one has come to you and said, this is what we propose to do. But I'm telling you now because they won't tell you. The plan is to cut $150 million in public expenditure. And you need to understand, because I don't know if they got the big screen here, and if they do, I hope they use it, as we did in the park, Carolina Park the other night. But this is Kerrie Symmonds in his statement that he gave to the Parliament of Barbados. And if there's one thing I beg the ladies and gentlemen of the press to do, is that they must, I feel you must know. Don't worry about who you appear to be supporting or not supporting. I feel the press must be independent of all 2 parties. And you must publish people, man. Nation and Advocate, publish, let the people read. And Barbados Today, publish, let the people read the full statement. Put it out there so that we know what is the Democratic Labour Party's parliamentary position. Because their parliamentary position or what they get on the platform, it says 2 different things. Well, I got the parliamentary position here. Kerrie Symmonds, he says that and I'm quoting him, Mr. Speaker, I have engaged discussions with the President of the Inter-American Development Bank, and he has agreed to work with us. Now, us, understand, us must mean the Democratic Labour Party government. And to instruct his officials that the process of structural reform in the non-financial public sector, the statutory boards as we call them, will begin in Barbados. So they have committed to the World Bank, to the IADB, that they are going to have structural reform at the statutory corporations. Has the Prime Minister explained to you what that reform is going to be? We are now about to enter the 3rd week of a serious campaign. From the short, you can curse enough every night if you like. Curse whoever you like, but at some point speak to your people about the plans you have for them. Now, it goes on. The IDB is going to provide resources, technical and otherwise, for us to begin a full analysis of statutory boards in Barbados to look to see how we can improve their operations, bring efficiencies to them, those which may have to face some form of privatization. We will look and see which ones, and we will consider them fairly as a government. Mr. Speaker, sir, and we are starting with the first 3. The National Housing Corporation, the Barbados Transport Board, and the Sanitation Service Authority. Now, right here, behind here, Factory Avenue, behind there, I believe there's a Sanitation Service Authority outlet. Not true? Right down behind it. And it would seem to me that there are some folks from this area who are likely to be employed down there. Don't you think that Patrick Tannis, ably led by Framble Stewart, who made it possible to walk through here with about 200 people behind him, that he imported from out in St. Lucie and in St. John, and to make it seem as though they had a crowd, they rented a crowd to walk through here with Tannis. At anybody's house did he stop to say, and by the way, we're going to shut down that thing behind there where we're working? Not a word. And that is where you are in Barbados tonight. This hangs over your head like a guillotine. And nobody is telling you what the future is. The only game in town, my friends, is the Barbados Labour Party. Because we are telling you, look, this is the commitment the Dems have given to people. And we are saying to you, give us a chance to turn this thing around. We want to speak solutions. Now, I heard some nastiness take place on Voice of Barbados the other day, and I recognize I've been in this thing a little too long not to spot wickedness when it is taking place. And when a moderator couches himself in the language of man, but I wonder, every political party, both of them are going to face the issue of government expenses and high expenditure. What will they do? But these are the questions we want you to call in and ask about. As though the issue begins and ends with the expenses. The Barbados Labour Party is very clear. Don't get tired. Then, in addition to the question of expenditure, you got to bring in money. It's about revenue as well. There is a revenue side to the equation. And what is not being talked about is where the money coming from. Now I want to commend Cynthia Bradshaw to you for a number of reasons. But one of the reasons is what she has helped us to shape as a political party and on the way forward, but with regard to empowering young people in Barbados and letting them lead the economy of tomorrow. It ain't that she's pretty and that she should be in Parliament. It ain't that she's sweet and she should be in Parliament. It is because she is able and competent and has helped us to devise and develop a youth economy agenda. And understand what the youth economy is agenda about. That we want to start with things like business labs, which will be incorporated within the school system, so as to encourage children to be entrepreneurial, catching them, and obviously there's a middle-term, medium-term strategy. I ain't gonna solve the problem immediately, but we must never find ourselves back where we are. And we got to capture young people in third form or fourth form and fifth form, and help them to understand the importance of not only self-employment, but how you can manage businesses. And that got to be something that is done early in life, because it is a struggle for people in their 40s and 50s who now starting out for the first time to be self-employed. So we got to equip our young people for the future. But the second point is this, that we want to facilitate access to training programs and income-generating activities. And I want you to understand what's happening around the region. There are several young men and women who have an interest, a competence in doing certain things, but the skills may be basic and unrefined. For men, it might be masonry, plumbing, welding. For women, it may be makeup artistry, cosmetology, what have you. And frankly, there are men doing both things and women doing both things too. So let's not get gender specific about any job. But the point is that you want to make sure that people can come to a center, an institution here in the community. You go and catch 2 and 3 buses and go through big law bureaucracy. You go and say, this is what I want to specialize in, this is what I want to learn. And you get access to the skills training in your community. And those people are then given a qualification, a certificate that empowers them to go and get work anywhere. And they can hold it up and say, this is a qualification I have. In Trinidad and Jamaica, they call it a national vocational qualification. And happily, there is now a CARICOM space. And CARICOM has accepted that if you can have a national vocational qualification in one island, they will recognize it regionally as a CARICOM vocational qualification. So that you are not longer tied to one place, but that you can move and sell and sell your skills across the region. Those are the things we're talking about. And when Cynthia talks to you about entertainment, she keeps on making the point that entertainment is the biggest paying enterprise in the world today. Entertainment and sports. On my way here, I spoke with a young man who I previously represented. He had a very bad accident in a car, but he played football for Barbados. Come from right out here. Excellent goalkeeper. And there's several other talented young sportsmen. But what we want to do with them? Revenue side. That is the issue. How do we translate this thing into revenue? You got the basic skills. If we take some of the young sportsmen, the great Pinelands football team, if we take some of them and attach them through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, let the missions work abroad for the people in the districts. Why can't the mission in Washington connect people from here in Pine into a club which is of a semi-professional or professional level in the United States so that they can earn some US foreign exchange? Is that so hard to do? Why can't you take your young entertainers and make sure that they're given attachments and your sportsmen are given scholarships to universities and colleges, given job opportunities, so that we can then have individuals earning money
And when they come back home, you don't humbug them with big lot of taxes. You treat them in the same way you treat the big white boys that in jacket and tie in the international business sector. And you give them a special tax rate. And that's what the Labour Party is committing itself to do. You work overseas as a cricketer. You make money in CARICOM. You go and play in the IPL, in the professional league. But then, okay, come back here and reinvest the money here. The government ain't going to rate pay for it. What the government will do is to tax you at 1.5%, not 20 and 25%. And that's where we want to go. That's how we want to build out the young people of tomorrow. Something wrong with that? It is about empowering people. This economy will not be rebuilt from the ramshackles it has descended into by folks who are in their 50s. With great respect, ladies and gentlemen, by folks who are in their 50s and 60s, one ain't gonna do it. Too much damage has already been done. We have to build this back up with our young people. And we have to make sure our young people can stand independently and not be waiting on a handout from government. And to do that, therefore, we must empower them. And we also got to help them to get little land in the country. And one of the things that we are going to commit ourselves to do is to establish a thing that you call Land for You Fund, where parents who have children can put aside a little money. Young couples can put aside a little money, making contributions over time to the fund. But when your savings reach a certain figure, let us say, and in a lot of money neither, $3,000, $4,000. When your savings reach a certain figure, then you become entitled to have a lot in one of the developments, which are NHC estates. And that then is transferred to you, 3,000 or 4,000 square foot of land, transferred to you at a subsidized rate by the government. You become entitled out of the fact that you saved for it and put it there. And people now will be in a position not to be waiting in line at NHC, but by putting in a little money, they get that which they want, a house spot. And then they can have independence of design. Don't have any set contractor come and build wherever you feel like and do the work bad. You pick your contractor and you pick your design and you do what you want to do with your house. That has been the Barbadian way. You take your time and build you build out when you can. That has always been our way. But why are we doing it any other way now? And that also allows you to employ people from your community and masons and carpenters and other people with skills who you grew up with and you got confidence in and who know you and ain't gonna rob you and humbug you. But we have instead, right now, people like Bounty, known only for being known to the court. That's the only thing he's known for, being known. But he's a contractor. Don't know a hammer from a nail. He may know a trigger, but don't know a hammer from a nail. Couldn't hang a door. These people, because this is now descending into what I can do in order to get out and get through politically. It has descended into a mess where you consolidate wealth, and instead of coming in the pine and training young men and women so that they can be tilers and masons and plumbers and go out there and get work to build out themselves and improve their family, all construction in Barbados has been allocated to one company. Whether it is the big able $2.9 million Hamila crossover so he could cross back over, or if it is a small house. Everything is consolidated in the hands of one company. We all know that is true. And I have in my constituency men who had their own business. It's shut down now. Fella had 4 cement mixers, all 4 gone. Employed 50 people, all 50 home. Part of the 16,000 that have been sent home. I can stand here and say these things. I ain't got to curse a fella. Let them curse me. Because I want to speak to you only in the language of solutions. And the solutions that we are talking about, the solutions that Santia sits and works with us in the cultural industries. Do you know that under this thing that they call a European Partnership Agreement, every cultural practitioner, whatever it is you do in culture, you have access for the first time to the European market to do what you got to do. But can you imagine now Pineland's Creative Workshop being transformed into something bigger? that specializes in stage management, teaching people stage management, teaching people choreography, teaching people drama, teaching people all sorts of things that will allow them to then go to Germany, go to England, go to France, go to Italy, Spain, Portugal, and do that which they were taught to do right here in Wildy, but to make money from it. That is where the revenue comes from, man. And that is how we build out tomorrow's economy. So don't let foolish people that got a DLP interest tell you that you can't do nothing better. The problem in Barbados is that we have a government that has taken its hands off and throw it up in the air. It is like a man who see an oncoming vehicle and he ain't sure if he can navigate the car properly, and he take his hand off the wheel and do so, oh God. He will go lick it up. But if you're at the wheel, you got to hold on to it and you got to maneuver. You got to have control. And what we are saying is that you need a government that can think how you work out the problems of the recession as it arrives on your doorstep, and how you can empower your people and give them a chance. And that is true in every single sector. The difference between the Dems and the Labour Party is that the Labour Party has thought through the thing, and we are identifying solutions. And yes, every single solution may not work as well as we would like it to. But the point is, we are trying, and if we empower people to try with us, then as a society, we can refine it. Everything that you build, sometimes they don't be perfectly straight, and then you gotta come and fix the rough edges, make it right. But you gotta do something. You can't sit down and watch 16,000 people go home in 2 or 3 years and feel that that's good enough. And every single day, more are going home. Yesterday, Mademoiselle announced they're shutting down. Last week, courts tell you them send home people and more going home in March. Last week, the custom managers tell you, sending home people. Hotels are closing all around this country and are sending home people. Even as I speak to you tonight, people went home on the West Coast. Got a call last week, 2 young ladies in Accra from my constituency, gone home. And this is the problem that we are facing. So the figure of 16,000 is closer now to 17,000. And every passing week and month, you have this problem. And yet you have a government that knows it has made certain commitments. And the commitments that they made, I see the light. And the commitments that they made are commitments that are savage cuts. $150 million in public expenses is a lot of money anywhere in the world. But if you can cut that kind of money, then tell the people what you plan to do. The least you could do is to share with the people what is it that is hanging over their head. And if you don't have the decency to take people into your confidence on a matter as fundamental as that, and if it is that you are behind their back, privatizing even the maid, the most vulnerable, how on earth can you be trusted with public affairs to hold the reins of government into the future? And that is the simple issue in this election. And I'm saying to you that Santia is part of a team. In her own right, Santia deserves the chance. You have seen how she's functioned in the legislature and the Senate. You have seen how she functions among you. You have seen how she functions even in this campaign, where at her insistence, every entertainer that is paid by the Barbados Labour Party come from Barbados. We haven't brought in any Luciano. Santia managing people from Trinidad and Jamaica too. But she said it got to be Bajans first. Give her a chance. And wherever you go in Barbados, give the Labour Party candidate a chance so that we can collectively turn this country around and have a brighter and better tomorrow. Good night and God bless you.